Good morning, everyone. Glad to see that quite some faces showed up for an integration talk, so let's get rolling. My name is Glenn, I'm an Azure MVP, and in my day-to-day job I work as an Azure and IoT domain lead at Codit. Next to that I'm also doing some community work, and I'm part of the BizTalk user group in Belgium. So, who of you guys come from an integration background, doing integration, LogicApps, BizTalk? Anyone? Great. So, it's good to see. There will be some BizTalk in my demo, so you will be glad to see that. So, as already said, I work at Codit. We are originally based in Belgium, but throughout the years we kind of spread in Europe. With last year we actually merged with Axon Olympus and are now based here also in the Netherlands, in Utrecht. So we're about 130 people worldwide, and that makes us one of the largest partners in Europe when it comes to integration, API management, and IoT solutions. We're also one of the 5 Azure lead partners of the world, so that's pretty cool. So the thing we do is basically, because we come from an integration background, our motto is connecting is everything. So what we do is integration, API management, and Internet of Things, and we use, of course, a whole set of technologies to build those integration platforms on the integration flows. So we have a couple of divisions like our services, our consultancy services, our support, and of course everything is backed up by our products team. So today we're going to talk a bit about integration, the future of integration, where we have been and stuff like that. So integration typically has been all about big message brokers on premises, exchanging data with on-premises system, SAP and stuff like that. But these days, companies traditionally want to integrate beyond their firewall. And that's typically with software as a service applications, using lightweight protocols, REST APIs and stuff like that. So we really are seeing that integration is evolving. And from the classic integration patterns, a whole new range of patterns have emerged. So we have our hybrid integration scenarios, where we have apps on premises and in the cloud that we need to connect our enterprise-to-enterprise communication with B2B messaging. And of course, as already said, SaaS integration is becoming more and more important and popular. Of course, with the uprise of APIs and API-based integration, we're also seeing a lot of mobile integration and mobility integration. Next to that, there's of course the Internet of Things, that it's becoming a big thing. Well, it actually is a big thing, and we're also seeing there that some of the integration patterns we used to know can be used in the Internet of Things world. So, and what we really are talking about is like having a modern integration platform, a modern integration insights, where we have enterprise apps on premises and in the cloud, and we need to link them together. So many different endpoints interconnected with each other, of course with an API first vision and an API first development. And integration is the key and remains the key to have that applications interconnected with each other and not to evolve back to some sort of spaghetti integration like we used to do. And of course, the most important thing is to keep on gaining insights and information out of those integration things. So, and this is where Microsoft Azure comes into play to help us build really those hybrid integrations. So Azure currently has 40 regions around the world, and that's more than the 2 other major cloud vendors combined. I'm not going to mention their names. And on top of that, on the cloud, there's a whole range of services where we can choose from. So below we have our data center infrastructure, and on top of that we have some infrastructure services like VMs, compute, storage and stuff like that. But the most important part for us doing integrations or doing IoT projects is the stuff on top. So really the platform service where we don't have to think about managing servers and stuff like that. It's really about serverless integration, serverless building serverless integration. So one of the key components there is of course LogicApps, but also Service Bus and of course API management. So during the rest of this talk, I'm going to focus on LogicApps, which is actually the key component of the Microsoft integration platform. So, and LogicApps is, as you all know, serverless technology. So what is serverless technology? Serverless technology is actually that you can focus on the stuff you need to do, so like building your integration, building your flows, building your functions or anything like that. It allows you to focus on that and to not have to focus on building or maintaining your machines that are beneath that. So LogicApps is serverless. The advantage of serverless is it reduces DevOps time. So it's event-driven, you have the extraction of server is gone, so that's one of the main advantages. Another thing is it allows you to have faster time to market. So with the LogicApps Designer, it's really easy to use, and that speeds up development, and it allows you to focus on business logic and to not worry about anything else. And als last major part, it's you have micro billing. So the billing in LogicApps is per action. I will show you later what an action is or what the shape looks like. So it's billing per action. There's a couple of fixed costs when you are using LogicApps. If you're using the integration account, that comes with a fixed cost. I will come back to that later. And of course, when you have your micro billing and you build your flow that way, it can reduce costs than in comparison when setting up a BizTalk server, for example. So LogicApps. LogicApps is basically all about running your complex integration scenario with ease. You can connect your on-premises application with the cloud, or vice versa. You can communicate directly from your cloud towards, for example, your BizTalk server. I will have a demo on that later, where I have a message that is flowing through my Logic app, and that will call directly into my BizTalk server. So everything you are using in LogicApps is an API. So it's positioned for the future, API-centric. When you're using a connector, basically behind the scenes, you are using an API. As already said, the development time is much faster because you have a really good visual designer. As always, you can automate your enterprise application processes, B2B, EDI, everything is supported within LogicApps. And of course, you can create, deploy, and manage those LogicApps with ease because everything is foreseen in the platform. So LogicApps is all about connecting anything, connecting everything. So currently, I think there's around 170 connectors in there. And the major part of those connectors are connectors to software as a service applications. If you take a look, there's quite some connectors that are hooking up into different Azure services. Yeah, we have Google, Office 365, Jammer. I think there's some Dropbox in there, Dynamics and stuff like that. So you can really hook up anything, and it's really fairly simple to use. For the BizTalk guys in the back, of course, everything is supported when it comes to more the core integration scenarios. You have your XML validation, you can do transforms, you have your X12 Edifact support, AS2, and next to that, you can also have your hybrid connectivity. You can hook up LogicApps with your BizTalk server. You can connect to SharePoint server, SQL server, and if you're crazy enough, you can even connect to SAP if you would like to do that. There's a couple of protocols that are supported. You have your HTTP, HTTPS, webhooks, FTP, SMTP, and stuff like that. So LogicApps is event-driven. You can start a LogicApp, or a LogicApp can trigger itself on a recurring schedule. For example, 1 time a day, or even more complex scenarios, for example, every second Wednesday of the month. You can start a LogicApp by pulling an API, and you have to see the broad, you have to see that very broad, because as already said, everything in LogicApps is an API. So if you're consuming an API, you're basically pulling that API. You can expose your LogicApp also as an HTTP endpoint. I have a demo on that. So that basically exposes your LogicApps into the cloud with, I think it's with a SaaS token. You can directly send a post request to that LogicApp, and that will fire away your LogicApp. And of course, you can create a webhook subscription, which is basically the more modern version of doing a post request. So LogicApps is workflow. So when people that are familiar with building workflows or doing orchestrations in BizTalk, you basically have control of the messages, and you can do more complex stuff. Again, you can invoke APIs, which is basically calling into one of those connectors. You have for each loops, you have split, you have do until, you have conditions, you have batching, debatching, everything you want. It's inside the platform there for you to use and to have that, to build that logic around your workflow. When you have seen all those capabilities, all those connectors, all those ways of controlling your workflow, if that isn't enough, you can extend the core engine very easily. The first thing you can do is hook up an API app. So you can build your custom API, you add a Swagger to it, and then basically if you copy paste or link inside LogicApp to that Swagger, it basically knows what methods that it's capable of doing, and it imports that into your LogicApps, and you can use your web API like you would use any other connector. The other thing is the other serverless technology who is really booming right now is Azure Functions. So inside LogicApps, there's the possibility to directly hook up into Azure Function. You can basically, with one click of a button, start a new function and then call it in and do some custom coding when the engine is limited. So it even will auto-discover your functions that are currently available inside your subscription. So it's fairly simple to use. It's basically using any other connectors. And then the last one, it's not extending the engine, but it's more like building decoupled workflows, a bit of best practices. So you can really decompose your workflows and fairly easy call into other logic apps or start a new instance of another logic apps. It's and that way you can really build in those complex scenarios by calling into other logic apps. Of course, everything is secured. You're using RBAC. Great. So you can extend your core engine once more if you want. Okay. Sorry for that. So as a first demo, I have some invoice approval demo, which basically shows you a part of the more easier integration. It will integrate with SharePoint and stuff like that. So what I will do is I will drop a file onto an FTP server. I have a LogicApps polling on that FTP server. That Logic app will send an email to myself with the invoice attached to it. Then I have to approve or disapprove that invoice. And based on that, I will the approved invoices I will drop onto a SharePoint, and the rejected invoices I will just drop back onto the FTP. So, oh, sorry. So let's go first of all to the FTP. I will quickly reconnect just to be sure. Let's hope I can connect. So in the meantime, let me show you. Oh, crap. It's coming. So I'm clicking the Logic app. Okay, that's great. The internet is killing me. No, it's available in the Azure platform, so it's Microsoft built. Oh, okay, so I'm connected. I will quickly drop, I have here 3 PDF files. I will drop them into the invoices folder. So if everything goes well, the Logic app will pick that up. I will receive an email later, but let me first show you what the Logic apps look like. So if we go to Designer, as you can see, it's is this clear to see? So basically, it's all about having some building blocks together to create a workflow. It's very readable, so if, as you can see, in the first shape I have when a file is added, it's basically connected to an FTP folder. Then I will send an approval email. I can have some user options, approve, reject. I can even add a third if I want. Then I have some sort of condition where I have the selected option. So the option that will come back from the email, so the async process will hook up into this Logic app, check the condition if it's approved or not. If it's approved, I will drop it into SharePoint. If it's rejected, I will just create an FTP file in the rejected folder. And when that flow ends, I will just delete the original file. Yeah, of course. BizTalk is the on-premises version. Well, LogicApps tries to be the cloud little brother of BizTalk server. Because you can build the same integration flows, integration patterns you want, but yeah, if you need really that enterprise level messaging, for example, you can, with LogicApps, you can hook up into SAP, but the the connector is not there yet to really replace the integration with BizTalk. So there's still some work to be done there, but it's already very mature. And people who are looking to build some integration, especially with software as a service applications and with connectors that are available in the platform, it's good to start having a look at LogicApps, because for example, if you would like to integrate with the SharePoint, it's a bit more difficult doing in BizTalk than just using the connectors of LogicApps. So let me just show you the possibilities here. If I want, I can click the new step here, and then you can, if you want, you can add an action, add a condition. If I click more, you even have add a switch case. You can add for eaches, do-untils, and stuff like that. You really have a powerful control of the workflow. So let me just quickly add an action. And if you, cannot say that. If you, I will probably break my flow, but that's okay. So if you choose to add an action, you can choose from different kind of connectors. So as you can see, the whole list is there. Basically, the sprint of the development team of LogicApps is 2 weeks, and basically you will start seeing connectors popping up every 2 weeks to have to use within your workflow. No, that's basically, so if I have an email, let me show you. So basically, this one allows you to search your connector. If it searches, anyway. There's an Office 365 connector in here. So what you do is, once you add the connector to your flow, it basically will ask you for your credentials, and that way you will get the token back from Azure AD. It will add, as you can see, there's the connector here, and that way you can use this to send an email. And it basically will use the account where you add the connection from to send that email. So that's a bit how the designer look like. If all goes well, this is the overview inside the portal, where you can see what actions that has been started. On the right hand side, you can see the triggers when it started. So, and as you can see, I dropped 3 invoices, and we have currently we have 3 running instances of our flow. So the designer allows you to go into that history and see where the Logic app is currently at. So if the designer pops up, it should be waiting for me to receive that email approval. So let me just quickly go through my email. So as you can see, I have here 3 invoices for my approval. I can click approve and reject. So I will approve this one. Hartelijk dank, uw antwoord is registered. And I will reject one. So this will mean that inside our SharePoint there should be 1. Inside our FTP folder there should be 1 rejected, and there should be 1 still remaining because I didn't answer on that. If we now go back to our portal, you can see the history will pop up. You will see that the 2 instances are completed, but there is still 1 instance waiting for my approval. To give you an idea, this is how you basically build those long-running transactions, long-running workflows. This is very easy to use. So if the history would pop up, you would see that there's one still waiting, and it will wait there until, I think the current limit is 90 days. So if your workflow isn't completed within the 90 days, it's a different story. So back to the slides. Another important thing when doing LogicApps is enterprise messaging. So it's very cool to have some basic SaaS integration. You can hook everything up with Twitter, but that doesn't mean you can build those enterprise workflows. And there, the enterprise messaging of LogicApps is very important. The major thing to do enterprise messaging is the integration account. The integration account allows you to upload schemas, XSD files, allows you to upload mappings, allows you to configure trading partners with agreements if you want to do AS2 and EDI integration, and it allows you to upload certificates to use as an AS2 connection. It has key vault integration, so that all comes out of the box. Even if you want, you can store your own configuration file, and of course it's fully manageable through the REST API to the portal and to Visual Studio. The thing I have to say is that if you start using the integration account, it comes with a price. The integration account is currently listed at 800 euros a month, so it's not pay per use, but it's a fixed fee you pay. And that makes it a bit more on the expensive side, but yeah. For example, if you would like, for example, only use the mapping, I would suggest to not do your mapping inside the integration account, but to have a little workaround with Azure Functions, but I didn't say that out loud. So regarding message handling, LogicApps support, as already said, it's flexible content support. You can support binary, JSON, XML. Even, yeah, you saw the binary part. I've processed a PDF through my LogicApps. As already said, the mapping are XSLT based. So if you come from a BizTalk world, you can even use your existing mappings, import them into the integration account, and you're good to go. You have some XML validation, you even have flat file support, and yeah, as already said, EDI processing is important. And we are seeing that customers who are doing BizTalk integration, and if they start moving to LogicApps, they are first thinking of moving their B2B and EDI processing towards the cloud. Sorry. One of the key things you can do with the integration account is creating a vector pipeline, and that's basically if you would take an integration to the easiest level, it's just having your XML validated, extracted some info in that, adding it to the context or not, doing a transformation, enriching that message, and then routing it to another service or dropping it on a queue or something like that. There's also the part of hybrid integration. And therefore, LogicApps uses the on-premises data gateway. The on-premises data gateway is actually something you can configure, and you can use it across services. It allows you to connect basically to anything you have on premises. As you can see, SAP and file are coming soon. I have to stand correct in that because SAP is already there, but it's only pushing towards SAP. So a Logic app sending an IDOC towards SAP or calling an RFC function on SAP. It's currently not possible that for people that are familiar with BizTalk, in BizTalk you can have like a receive location who listens for messages on SAP. This is currently not possible with LogicApp, and that's one of the biggest malfunctioning of the SAP connector right now. So as already said, your on-premises data gateway is a gateway that is for multiple services and experiences. It originates from Power BI, but it can be used in LogicApps, in Flow, and in the thing Power Apps, which is very cool. To use it, you have to configure a gateway cloud service, and you have to install on your on-premises server, you have to install a little service, and basically it uses service bus relay behind the scenes to get that connection going. So, as a demo for enterprise messaging, so what I have is, I have again my freaky little customer who wants to put an order at us. So I have a LogicApp who exposes an HTTP endpoint. It allows you to send an XML towards that LogicApp, and I will validate that XML using the XML validator. If that XML is invalid, I will return it to the user with a nice error message saying something is wrong with your XML. If that XML is valid, I will send it towards another LogicApp. And based on a certain field in that, that message, I believe it's sales organization. So if it's a sales organization 1000, I will drop that message on service bus, and I have a BizTalk receive location listening on that service bus. If it's sales organization 1200, I guess, I will just directly inject it into BizTalk. It's not that perfect demo because, yeah, it basically all comes down to BizTalk, but I just wanted to show you with this demo how to decouple things and what are the different possibilities to hook stuff from the cloud directly into your BizTalk server. Oh, too soon. So let me see if my VM is still up and running. So I think this is the one and only time you will see BizTalk, or not. All right. TechDays doesn't like BizTalk, so so let me go through show you the portal. So what I have here is, again, I have a simple LogicApp. So hosting an endpoint, I will throw that that message towards the XML validator. That schema name is actually a schema that is inside my integration account. I will show you that later. So if that that XML is valid, I will just click it open. I will just send a 400 back. If it's okay, I will send a 200 back. And if it's okay, I will call the handle orders LogicApp. Let me go back to the other one. So if I open up the handle order LogicApp, yes. If it comes. Let me just do that again, otherwise I will continue. So this is the handle order LogicApp. As you can see, it basically receives an HTTP request from the other LogicApps. It will do an XML transformation, and it will convert that XML to a flat file, and then checks with an expat if the sales organization is 1,000 or not, and then goes either way. So it will send to service bus, or it will send towards my BizTalk server. As you can see here, there's a receive location specified, and I will send the input message over there. So let me check if my BizTalk server is there. Okay. So people who are familiar with BizTalk, as you can see, so I have 2 receive locations here, which is one is listening on my service bus, and the other one is basically exposing an internal endpoint, but that endpoint is exposed through the on-premises data gateway. And I lost connection again. Okay, just let me continue. So first of all, what I will do is, as you can see, I have an HTTP endpoint exposed. I will probably have to change that later because it's on camera. So what I will do is I will send this XML, and this will have an invalid order date, as you can see here. This is kind of an invalid date format. So if I send that towards my Logic app, the response will come back one day or another, and it will actually show you the reason why this Logic app has failed, and this error will come from the XML validator. I will not wait any more longer because I'm running out of time. So, and when the validation is okay, I can send it with a more valid date. And this way, as you can see, I have a sales organization 1000. This will go in. It will say that the message validation was okay. I have the same for sales organization 1200. So I will send them. This will go to my Logic app. And if we, let me see if I can see it in the logging or not. No, it's not working. So the internet is killing me a bit now, so I did not sacrifice a puppy before starting this session, so the demo gods are killing me. So back to the slides. So if this would have worked properly, you would have seen 2 messages in SQL, one coming from Service Bus and the other one coming directly from the BizTalk connectors that it's in LogicApps. So as you have seen throughout this session, there's a couple of ways of having your tracking and your tools. So there's a whole, there's a trigger history, there's a run history, there's a monitoring view. You can configure diagnostics and alerts. If you want, you can really create those async event monitoring by sending events to storage or Event Hub. You can hook up application insights, and there's even a tracking API behind the scenes, which allows you to add tracked properties towards your on your LogicApps. The team is currently working on an OMS Suite solution, which gives you a more better overview of all the connectors and the possibilities of the platform. And if all goes well, it should look something like that. You will see how many times your flow has been triggered, successful messages, your trading partners and stuff like that. It's a bit like if people are familiar with the BAM portal, be careful to say that. It will look a bit like that. So maybe let me quickly see. Aha. As you can see, the message validation is okay. I received the 200 okay. This one, I will just try it once more. And if we go and take a look inside our Logic app, that handled the orders. No, this will not work. Sorry for that. So the road ahead for LogicApps, as already said, there will be more tracking experience in OMS. They will bring out an Oracle ESB connector. One of the major things for us as integration developers is SOAP. Yes, people are still using SOAP. So SOAP support. Sorry, Mike. There will be more advanced templates. Currently, there's some really basic templates available, like Twitter receive and drop it into a database, but that's really not useful. You really want those BizTalk patterns there. So the templates will become available. They will have bulk resubmit, basically like they have in BizTalk right now. And then there will be some concurrency control. And of course, as already said, the team is working. Every 2 weeks, there's a new bunch of connectors coming towards Azure services or other services around the platform. So with that, I would like to thank you. I'm a bit early because of the hiccup with the demo. Let me just, one more time. Let me see it. And let's go to BizTalk and to see if the messages have arrived. No, the connection is not there. Are there any questions? Yes. Yes. Let me open a Logic app, and that will make you so every time one of these action executes, you will be charged. It's something 0. Let me go to the Azure calculator. It's what? Aha, cost. Let me see. It will cost you less than having a decent internet connection. No, it's basically something like 0.000001. It's really ridiculous. So with that, any more questions? Sorry about the internet hiccups and stuff like that. Thank you for joining.